Hi friends. So as I mentioned in the last video, I had so many more thoughts about exams and awards that I decided to make another video on the topic. I know I have repeated a few of the incidents I spoke about earlier, but this time I wanted to reflect on them a little differently. So the thing that bothered me the most was the way some parents reacted and behaved around this whole thing. Now, I'm not criticizing anyone. I know that everybody has a different parenting style, and I'm probably no expert in parenting myself. But these are purely my thoughts, and I believe I have a right to hold them. So, when my daughter scored a centum in her first exam, some parents congratulated me on WhatsApp, even before my daughter could come home from school and tell me about it herself. Apparently, their children had reached home earlier and shared the news. Now, it was kind of them to congratulate, but it also made me wonder if all this hype was really necessary. After all, I didn't want to make it larger than life for my daughter. She was happy, and I told her I was proud of her, and I noticed that she didn't even think of it as something to boast about. Now that made me prouder than the centum itself. But not everyone around her felt the same way. Her best friend was really sad. Not because she had scored badly, but because my daughter had outperformed her. My daughter didn't know how to handle this. She tried to reassure her friend that she could do better next time, but her friend wasn't convinced. Now, another friend told her that although she had scored a good rank, she would still be scolded at home because her parents had expected nothing less than the top position. Now, my daughter didn't know what to say to that either because she was the one who got the top position and she felt a bit awkward. She kept asking me what she should tell her friends, and honestly, I didn't have a convincing answer for her at that time, and that stayed with me. So, when I used to pick my daughter up from school, the first thing I always did was put my arm around her shoulder and ask her how her day was, whether she had eaten her lunch, what she enjoyed, if anything interesting had happened at school, etc. etc. Questions about marks or exams came much later because I didn't want her to feel that those were the most important part of her day. But one afternoon, when I went to pick her up after exams and we were walking towards our transport, another parent rushed over and immediately started asking her how the exam went, how much she thought she had scored, whether she had got all the answers right, etc. etc. Question after question. I didn't like it at all. Now, again, I'm not judging that parent, but in that moment, honestly, I found it quite uncomfortable. I had always wanted my daughter to take a shape of her own, to learn as much as she can, and to measure herself against her own previous best, not against anyone else. I also noticed that many parents around me were constantly discussing the scoreboard. Who was getting the award and who had missed it? Which child seemed bright but wasn't scoring? Whether a child who was consistently doing well was being sent to special tuition. Now, these conversations were happening all the time. All these discussions for grade 3 children. And I found myself wondering, do we really need to be this competitive? Do we need to instill a fear of exams in children from such a young age? Do we need to keep showing them that marks matter more than learning, more than curiosity, or more than simply doing your best? I don't have answers to these questions yet, I don't even know for certain whether my own approach is right or wrong. But I do know this: marks and exams do not define a child. Life is so much bigger than all of this. And this is what I have been trying to show my daughter from the very beginning. What I have always told her is simple: show up, give your best, and keep trying to be a little better than you were yesterday. Not better than someone else, but better than yourself. So, there is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita that I keep coming back to when I think about all of this. I'm sure everyone knows about this. It says, "Do your duty with sincerity and excellence without becoming attached to success or fearing failure. Also, don't let uncertainty about the outcome become an excuse to avoid action." I think that is something I try to remind myself of often, not just as a parent but as a person too. There is still so much more I want to share on this topic about the pressure that builds on children who become consistent toppers, about whether the award system is really the right way to motivate young learners, and much more. But I'll save that for the next video. See you then. Do share your thoughts in the comments. I would really love to hear your thoughts on this. Bye.